Hello, this is the TradeSite US Stocks, Futures, and Forex Market Preview for the week beginning Sunday, the 13th of February 2022, ending Friday, the 18th, which is also options expiration Friday. So be aware of that. Here's a look at the this is a look at the dollar index. By the way, we got that 13 sell signal right at the top day after we broke out and then pulled back. And what's the target? The red line, the static trend line, that was the low. So again, the secret tool does exactly what it's supposed to do. Let's look at what happened Friday here. Sorry, in the Forex stuff. So we've got euro dollar, the inverse of the dollar index, not much there. The pound dollar has been flat the whole week. Aussie dollar, again, there's a 13 buy signal a while back. That was a bounce too. I mean, these signals have been right on the money. Euro yen fell apart on Friday. The pound yen also heading lower. Pound Swiss doing what it does, and the New Zealand dollar pair not doing much here. All right, let's look at the intra-week action. Here's the euro dollar for the week. High to low for the week is only about 170 pips, but by the way, most of that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday were untradeable. Like, they're just so bad. And then Thursday, the wiggle and the and then we came on the CPI number, and then we came back down. So got a 13 buy signal right at the low on the 30-minute chart. The pound dollar high to low for the week is only 150 pips. Again, that's pretty boring. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are untradeable, and then the spike on the CPI. So it is what it is. We can't really get much going here on the Forex side. Here's the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market in futures form. You know, we hit the downtrend line that's been in place since December, right? Two highs in December and the start of January. We hit that, and we after bouncing off the lows. And now we're rolling. This does not look pretty, by the way. Nothing about this chart's pretty, and anything under 4,200, look out below, but I kind of think it's coming. Let's look at the cash indices, S&P. So it's the same thing, right? The 13 sell signal, nailed it, came back up, and then a little bit of a bounce, and now we're starting to roll over. The NASDAQ 100, by the way, the S&P was down 85 on Friday. And again, this is because of a couple things, right? What are we talking about? We got inflationary numbers because of supply chain issues, which I think is still a transitory number, but it's probably going to last another 6 to 9 months, and it is what it is. The Fed, therefore, is starting to talk about, probably late to the game, talk about raising interest rates. But also you have this potential Russian invasion of the Ukraine that seems to be imminent, and oil spiking, partly because of that, partly because of supply chain issues. It's a mess economically. There's nothing great going on, and so, sitting around holding stocks does not make sense. Here's the NASDAQ 100 cash index, 13 sell signal right at the highs in December, sold off pretty well beyond the static trend line, bounced, hit the trend line, and now we're rolling over again. And remember, this was a really weird week, and I want to show you the week. You'll see what happened on Thursday in particular. Never seen anything quite like what happened here. But let's look at the intraday before we talk about that. The stocks down 170 points on Friday. Nothing good there. The biotech's down 39 and change. It's a blip for them. The Russell 2000 down 21 points after it hit resistance from the lows of last year. Crude oil, here's the big one, right? This is what's going on in the Ukraine, up $4 a barrel. 93.90. Nothing good at the pump when you see that. And if Russia does actually pull the trigger on this, it's going to get worse. Like, look for a spike to 120 or whatever. Gold finally moving. It has not been a big mover, but finally moving in reaction to what? In reaction to what's going on in Russia. So that's not pretty, but we're 12 up on the seeker now. Although it could recycle, it will recycle most likely. And then, now you've got a base. So if you actually break out, like, the gold has not done anything in all of this, right? And the bonds are doing what? Let's take a look at the TLT. This is the 20-year Treasury ETF. I got the 13 buy signal there. They actually bounced, but we all know that the rate hikes are now built in. That's the drop that you've seen over the last 2 months. The bond market knew what was coming. Advanced client ratio on the NASDAQ, negative 1516 on Friday, a very negative day. On the New York, negative 1339. The NASDAQ volume was back up on the decline, down 5.2 billion shares, 5.3. Same on Thursday, but it had been much lower most of the week. So as we start to roll again, the volatility is picking up, and it's all negative, but the volume's there again. Trend closes at 0.81, puts the 10-day at 0.82, and I just want to be clear, anything under 0.85 on that 10-day blue line moving average remains a sell signal in the broad market. When we got the first one of those for 3 days back in January, that was the drop, and now we're getting it again. So pretty typical. VIX up $3.45 as things start to slide in the market. Apple down $3.48. Amazon down 114.20. Strange chart there. Facebook down $8.52, almost to new lows. Google down 86.75. Goldman Sachs down $7.51. Netflix loses 14.96. Ugly. Peloton down $2.78. Again, after bouncing, and there were earnings, and we knew the earnings were going to be bad, and they were bad, but there's rumors that somebody might buy them, and so the stock came back a bit. That's fine. Tesla down $44.55. Zoom down $4.48, almost at new lows for the last year. Bitcoin, as I do this, and remember this trades all weekend, down $1,500, down 42,665. The Dow was down 503 on Friday. Now, let's look at the intra-week action, and let's switch this over to 10-minute candles so we can see the whole week. And this is one of the strangest things I've seen in a long time. I'll show you the intraday action in a minute, but so I'm just going to talk about what we see here on the market hours. So Monday, a flat opening, fairly flat day, little dip, came back, and then a little slide at the end. We closed negative. Tuesday, fairly flat, closed slightly positive. Basically, at the end of Tuesday, you're almost flat for the, since Friday's close. Wednesday, we gap up, dead flat, one of the most narrow days we've seen in a while. Nothing tradable there. And then Thursday, we gap down. That's what I'm going to show you in a minute. We gap down a lot, actually. And like, if you look at this, and here's also the NASDAQ futures, there was a big gap down, like several hundred points on the NASDAQ on Thursday. And the interesting part was because the CPI number, which is what caused that, 1 hour before the bell. So we dropped, you'll see it in a minute. And then we came back, we filled the gap, but then kind of rolled over, and then we started to sell off. And then on Friday, a little bit of attempt to, be flat. We're going into lunch, nothing going on. And then you start to hear about the Ukraine thing, and everything starts to roll. So it ends up being a fairly negative day in the market. But what I do want to show you is this. This is kind of weird. So here's 24 hours, and you don't see this too much. This is the ES, right? Front month's futures contract. And, Thursday was the 10th. So, overnight, we're just kind of cruising along, we're kind of higher, we're doing whatever we do. And then, boom, here's that CPI number, right? The CPI number comes out, the market completely tanks pre-market in the futures, at least. All the way down, holds just for the stock market to open, and then rallies all the way back up. That's a big gap. This is just the ES, that's 60 points. Gaps and comes all the way back, and then look at the rest of the week, right? Because then late in the day on Friday. And if you look at the NASDAQ side, it's kind of even weirder because it was like a 400-point gap. So, here's what happens, right? The number comes out, it drops like 300 or 400 points. It literally holds there until the market opens. And that's what's so weird. And then everybody buys it. Like, okay, and this, you're still buying the dips, right? Which Rich talked about how that's not going to work anymore that morning. And so people bought the dip, but they bought it all the way back to bring it back to almost fill the gap. And then we sold off, and the whole day, like the rest of the week, is just a mess. So very, very strange action. I don't know that I've ever seen a day where you get bad news, what the market thinks of as bad news, and you gap down that much, and that's just an hour before the bell, and it causes the whole gap down. But the minute the market opens, we go all the way back and fill, and then act like nothing. The NASDAQ's down like 700 points in the last 2 days since then. So it's very, very strange, but it is obviously what it is. Monday's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to all. Here's the data coming out for the week. We got mortgage delinquencies here in the U.S. Whatever else. Tuesday, PPI, Empire State Manufacturing Index. We got CB leading index out of the UK and Australia. tick long-term purchases here in the U.S., CPI and PPI out of China. It gets us all the way to Wednesday. We've got the inflationary numbers like the CPI out of the UK. Same with Canada. We've got retail sales and import-export prices here in the U.S. at 8:30 a.m. Capacity utilization, industrial production at 9:15. Business inventories and NAHB housing market index at 10. Crude oil inventories at 10:30. Trade balance out of Japan that night. Unemployment rate out of Australia that night. Trade balance out of Switzerland that night. Italian trade balance. And then we go to here to the U.S. We've got the weekly initial and continuing jobless claims numbers, housing starts, building permits, the Philly Fed manufacturing index. That's all at 8:30 a.m. on Thursday. PPI out of New Zealand. So some inflationary numbers there. Again, retail sales out of the UK, current account out of Europe, retail sales out of Canada. And then we've got existing home sales, CB leading index, and a bunch of Fed members speaking. Not a big week for data, but there is some data there. So we will see what that turns into and go from there. Charts as usual brought to you. But by the way, I do want to add, the following Monday is a holiday. It's President's Day. So this Friday is probably going to be a bust. It's options expiration plus leading into a 3-day weekend. Nobody's going to be around. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading week.